How you like them apples? San Diego, jerseys, Rooney, loaded today. Welcome to Dub Nation, your hub for everything Utah Warriors of Major League Rugby. I am Jarom Jordan alongside Banksy, and dude, the Yosepa jerseys are out, and they look incredible.
If you haven't seen this drop yet, check this out. Ugh. Like we didn't already have the best kit in the league.
The blues, the whites, the salt flats, the ode to Yosepa, the city of many Hawaiians and Polynesians came to Salt Lake in the late 1800s. It's just the story behind it. You got to check it out on yosepa.warriorsrugby.com. You got to get your own jersey if you want. You can bid in an auction for these game-worn jerseys after the July 10th game versus Rugby ATL. They look fresh, bro. The story's incredible. They look amazing. I'm so stoked about this.
You know, it's one of the pillars of, the Utah Warriors family in respecting those traditions in our past. And this is a big tip of the hat to the history of the Polynesian community here in Utah. And it's not something a lot of people are aware of in the basically campsite that was the city of Yosepa that was set out in the West Desert near the Salt Flats, basically because Mormon pioneers didn't know what to do with Hawaiians and Samoans and Tongans as they would join the church and want to join their fellow church members in Utah, just like people from England and Sweden. They wanted to come help finish and build the Mormon temple, but they didn't know what to do in what was still then a very segregated society. So they gave them their own city and the history that goes along with it. So it's a great tip of the hat to not just the culture, but to the traditions and the history in the past right here in our own backyard. Plus, they just look so clean. I mean, come on. I mean, if we didn't have the history of the jersey behind it, just the crystal patterns and the tip of the hat to the Salt Flats would be great. But you combine that with the passion and the history of the Yosepa encampment, the reunion that goes on there for the family members and the survivors and the descendants of the people that lived there. It's such a great thing for us as a team to be able to acknowledge with these jerseys. And you can pre-order them right now if you want to get a hold of one. They're only going to be available in worn, I think, for one game this year, but you can pre-order your Yosepa jerseys. Go to warriorsrugby.com.
Oh, they're just so good. I got to figure out how to, get my hands on one, and now I know. Thank you for the heads up. Okay, we're live on the Utah Warriors Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts, on demand on KSLSports.com, the KSL Sports app, the KSL TV app, and rebroadcast Thursday nights on ESPN 700 and 960. Subscribe to the podcast version if you want on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you have a comment, fire away. We'll try and get to some of those throughout the program. Okay, we're handing out some swag. What are we giving out this week?
Well, it's never not windy in Harriman, so we figured we'd break out a classic black and red windbreaker for Dub Nation. If you want to win this puppy, it could be yours, looking so fresh and so clean on our next game day. All you have to do is share the show on Facebook or retweet the post of the game on Twitter for your chance to win it.
Okay, here's what's on the show rundown. We'll recap the incredible comeback for San Diego. I mean, borderline miraculous. It was awesome. Round 13 scores. We'll look at the standings. News from around the league with the draft, the World Cup potentially in the U.S. What's going on there? 2 adjusted start times for the final 2 regular season games in the Harriman. We'll preview the mega matchup with New York, battle of number 2 in each conference. Our guest is Fraser Hurst, newly minted Canadian international, where he's going to go compete in England in July, as well as the USA guys. So that's awesome. And today's Rugby 101 is about grounding rules, how you dot it down, what the rules around that are for actually scoring a try. Okay, let's jump right into the recap of the San Diego game. I feel like this was the greatest game in Utah Warriors history. You called it Game of the Year in MLR. We both loved it. Saturday night in Harriman, down 17 with 20 minutes to go. Utah Warriors scored 21 unanswered to win in the 80th minute. On a Mikey Teo pass over to James Waifale, he dots it down. Hysteria breaks out at Zions Bank Stadium. This was an unbelievable game.
I mean, absolute scenes, and you almost hate that there has to be a loser in a game like this because it was fantastic rugby for a full 80 minutes, sometimes a little more from one side than the other. San Diego dejected in the locker room after this loss. Absolute elation if you're a Utah Warriors fan. This comes after about 12 or 13 phases of forward play. The Warriors deep in San Diego territory. Crash ball, crash ball, crash ball, pick and jam, pick and jam, pick and jam. And you could see the defense continue to collapse and shrink. Look at, Cecil Africa in there, Bauman in there for San Diego, all these bodies in and around the ruck. And there was a ton of space on the outside. Fraser Hurst looks up, sees Cliven Lobser. Cliven takes it's the next phase, I believe, after this. Finds Cliven. Cliven finds Mikey, and Mikey almost psychically knows exactly where James Vifale is, and he tiptoes down the end line and scores it down in the 80th and 2-second minute match of the match.
It was amazing. It really was. I mean, it was incredible. The pass from Mikey Teo is amazing. And think about it. If this ball slips and you drop it and it's a knock-on, the game's over and San Diego wins. I mean, every little piece of that has to work. And Utah guys, BYU guys, Utah State guys, everyone together as the Utah Warriors, come together. And this was incredible. I love too that 2 weeks in a row, in the last moments in the 80th minute, the Warriors win at Seattle. Same deal. Now against San Diego. We've called them the cardiac kids. It's going around the league. People are calling them that too. The Warriors know how to win at the end of the game. Now, you could certainly argue, hey, I wish it happened earlier and it wasn't close. But listen, the Warriors have figured out how to win and win late, and it's leading to, right now, a playoff position.
If you're a fan of the Warriors, you say it's fantastic and you're great. There's a lot of people around the league saying, oh, we lean too heavily on Mikey Teo to create plays. And I think Mikey Teo just has that sense of when to insert himself into an attack and be a difference maker. We saw the same with Cliven Lobser when he came in and he picked his spots and made a difference. The attacking prowess of Tyler Fisher and Calvin Whiting caused headaches for San Diego all day long, and they had to commit extra bodies inside to make sure that those guys were accounted for. And that's what opened up the space for Mikey almost to insert himself as a second fly half for a second back line with Mika Cruze and James Vifale on his outside again. So it was a total team effort. And, I'll say it again, it wasn't necessarily a championship caliber performance, but they showed that championship mentality. Do whatever it takes in those moments. Everybody had a hand in it from 1 through 15, 1 through 23, really. And, they were able to get it done in whatever time that the head referees allowed. Who cared if it's in the 65th minute or if it's in the 83rd minute or the 80th and 2 seconds when Vifale dotted that one down. The Warriors are getting it done, and they're getting it done against some of the best competition in the league right now.
That was a hot San Diego team who had won 3 in a row, put up 41 a game. Legion are up 17. You and I asked the question, was that the nail in the coffin? It was not. Perhaps it was.
Clearly not.
Let's check out the stats in this one. 12 combined tries, 6 for each team. Are you kidding me? Joe Peterson's 2 missed conversions probably cost San Diego the game, by the way, because he misses 2 in the second half, and it's a tight one. And you're allowed a conversion missed or 2, but I think he missed one of those that should have been a make, if not both. So that was costly. That happened the week before with AJ Alatimu with Seattle, a penalty goal. Sometimes the ball bounces your way. You look at the territory, 69-31. Wow. Everything else pretty similar, but this is a game that Utah wins, and let's recap the scoring. 7th minute, Fakaosi Pifoletti scores, makes 7-0 for San Diego. Calvin Whiting makes a penalty goal, which, by the way, Hagen Schulte returned, but it was Whiting that was doing the majority of the kicking. So sort of a slow burn with Hagen still. Obviously, free kicks for Hagen is his biggest strength, and that combination is pretty good right now for Utah.
It's working, so why mess with it?
Right. 27th minute, Dean Muir scores a try for San Diego, 14-3. Now it's late in the first half, and we're going, wait, is Utah going to score a try in this half? Thomas Tuaval breaks through on a really nice play in the 37th minute to make it 14-10.
This was a great ball, and it was a quick little skip over the top and a big gap open for Tuaval. And just the quick step off his left foot to the inside to finish. He had an incredible game. He played fantastic defense. It was great to see him get a bit of meat there at the end of that one because he was smashing people on defense. He almost single-handedly neutralized the effectiveness of Rob Shaw and Sam Wu-Ching with his play on the blind side and his ability to enforce the gain line. He was fantastic in this game, and it was great to see him score that try.
The lettuce flowing in the harem and air. I mean, it was beautiful Saturday night. Okay, in the 41st minute in the second half, Joe Peterson gets a drop goal. You don't see that too often in the game. You know it exists, but it's worth 3. Joe Peterson nailed the drop goal. That was kind of fun to watch. Okay, so it's 17-10. 43rd minute, Yuri Van Buren scores a try. 17s. At this point, it's like, okay, this is the game we thought it would be, right? It was 14-3 at one point. It's 17-17. Van Buren breaks through, and it's like, okay, this is the game we expected.
That was a similar try in a similar place that we saw Mikey Teo score against Seattle as well. You had 2 guys coming around. Gus McClellan was making a wraparound run, but Yuri ran that hard inside line and hit the gap at pace. And so as the defense tried to pursue, you could have driven a bus through the gap that Yuri ran through and just scored it down easily under the posts.
Fun to watch Tuveri Vungakoto with a clear out in the ruck right there, by the way. Just
great.
San Diego guy just laying down.
Ragdolling people.
That's got to feel great on that turf, which is like 100 degrees out there. It was crazy. Ashley Burge on the sideline just, trying to stay hydrated. She did a great job. Okay, 47th minute. Thomas Morani scores a try, 24-17 San Diego. Utah still behind or tied, have yet to take the lead here. Cam Clark scores a try, missed conversion by Joe Peterson. It's 29-17. It's like, okay, half an hour left, down 12, got to make a move. Ali Khalifi scores a try, 29-24. How awesome is it to have Ali Khalifi coming off the bench this year? He's been fantastic.
Full credit to the Gorilla Squad. They've been a difference maker in every match, and they've done everything you could want from your substitutes. They come in with energy. They come in with discipline. They come in with leadership. You see Ollie digging for that ball in the back of the ruck there and Basket telling him to go for it and able just to muscle his way in. He's an absolute unit physically, and he's found some of that form and that mental edge that he had a couple of years ago, not just playing with Seattle, but also playing for the national team. And what a weapon that guy is for 20, 30, sometimes even 40 minutes off the bench for the Warriors.
Back-to-back tries for Ollie, which is great. Okay, 59th minute, Tian Lutz scores. Missed Joe Peterson conversion. Again, those were crucial in this tight game. 34-24 San Diego. So in the 62nd minute, so really 18 minutes to go, Bjorn Bassan scores his 7th try of the year. 41-24, down 17. It feels like the game is over. It was not over, right? As Bassan broke through, and we were seeing a lot of ball in hand, open play. There were actually 2 tries scored for San Diego, down a man with the card to Carlo Dination in the scrum half. It felt like this one was slipping away. But this is when the drama started to begin. This is when it got good.
This try was just great line running and the gap right here to draw 2 defenders in and open up the space on the outside. It's just great, simple rugby. I said it in the game. San Diego didn't do anything fantastic in that game, but they did all of the basics and executed them at such a high level for almost a full 80 minutes. It's tough to discredit them in anything that they did during the match, and showing the class of what they have been for the previous 6 matches in a row with that try.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Utah just happened to be better on this day and makes this crazy comeback. Here we go. Here are the comebacks again. Anyway. Right? But it was the right 18 minutes. It was the right 18 minutes, right? Okay, 5 minutes later, Mikey Teo from Mika Cruz. This is these two in open space, perhaps the most dangerous combo in the league.
Watch when this kick comes over the top. They run a couple of phases here, and the little chip over the top right at Mika Cruz. He takes it in the air. Watch how fast Mikey Teo comes up from the fullback spot in support of Mika. So here comes the ball, tackle on Josh Whippy. Bauman goes in. Now this ball's going to go to the right, I think, on the kick. And they pick and go again, so we've got a longer phase of this. This ball comes out and goes to the right, and here's the chip over the top, right into Mika Cruz's hands. Look at how quickly Mikey Teo is calling for the ball here, and he's in position.
Look at it, yes.
Just immediately there, Mika knows he's going to take the hit, just eats the contact and puts his man into space. It's anticipation, it's chemistry, it's camaraderie, and Mikey's all business about it. Knows he dotted it down and immediately gets back because the clock is ticking.
What a great try from these guys as Mikey Teo scores another one. He's got what, 8 on the year, I think. He's been
In your best
fantastic.
DJ
Okay,
Khaled voice, another one.
another again. 72nd minute, Chad Goff scores another try. To Chad's credit, he was banged up. He got his ankle twisted pretty good, taped it up, stayed in there. You see it, number 16 right here. That's taped up good, dots it down over the top. It's 41-38 at this point. Now it's like, okay, 3-point game. Anything is possible right here. This comeback can happen.
I mean, Chad can barely stand up at this point. The strapping on his boot is so heavy. He's just fighting it out on pure guts. He actually turned his ankle again on that play, dotting that score in, and just the heavy leaner. And he's such a hard body to stop one-on-one. He's so physical, and that try was just all guts and grit.
Okay, 74th minute. Ethan McVay has a pretty serious injury. The backup scrum half for San Diego. And the game stops and the energy comes down, right? Serious injury. Luckily, he's okay. He's given the thumbs up. He's off. I think got hit in the face pretty good. I talked to Zach Tess, San Diego co-head coach after the game. He said he was fine. Just got his bell rung, right? He said so. Luckily, that's the good news. But after that, it was like, okay, how do you ramp that back up? Utah had scored 14 in a row. They're down 3. It's late. The boys did it. They really did it to the point where, and like we saw, in the 80th minute, James Vaifale dots it down. Now, my only question with this game-winning try is, why does James feel like he has to center it at all? Just dot it down, baby. Just dot it down.
Because that's just what wingers do. It was a great team effort. I mean, everybody got involved in setting this up. This ball went all the way to the far touchline and then came back to the middle of the field. You can see there Mikey dropping out of position. He was waiting for something short. Gus and Ollie standing there inside with Bailey Wilson. They run phase after phase after phase right at the heart of the San Diego defense. And then Cliven, Teo, he's got Saya Uhila inside of him that keeps the defense honest. And that's what kept, I think it was it Tian Lutz or Bjorn Basson that was on the inside of him and kept that defender in that it was the line from Saya Uhila that really kept James open clearly on the outside. So you'll see him run this inside. There he is there with Calvin Whiting behind him, and that's what kept the gap open. And then James dances around the end line for some explainable reason. I don't know why you don't just dot it down right there, especially knowing Calvin Whiting's coming with the boot behind you, and that's not a difficult angle. But he tiptoes along it like he's, playing hopscotch in 3rd grade on the schoolyard trying to impress a pretty girl, and eventually dots it down for the pleasure, joy, and excitement of everyone, including our own producer, Billy, who was the first man there with him in the try zone when he scored that.
Yes, he was.
Shout out to Billy.
Some fun Photoshops exchanged today about that on Twitter. Okay, so a couple game notes from this one. 12 different try scores. No one repeated from either team. That's incredible. 6 players with 100-plus ball carry meters, 3 on each team. Yuri Van Buren had 30 own ruck arrivals, 8 cleanouts. That's just a massive number. And Calvin Whiting, 5 for 5. He is 18 for 19 kicking this year. He's incredible, and he's not even the main kicker.
I mean, full credit to Calvin. He literally went from being the heart and soul of the Warriors defense to the heart and soul of the Warriors kicking game, with Hagen Schulte going down with those injuries and the little niggles, as he likes to call them, the little bumps and bruises that you pick up along the way. Calvin has not flinched once in any duty that this coaching staff has given to him. All he's done is perform at an elite level, and he continues to do it.
Okay, congratulations to Tyler Fisher, by the way, the lone wolf on the first 15. I thought maybe some other guys would make it. They did not, but that's all right. The one produced by the league, at least. Tyler Fisher, the inside center of the week. So congrats to Tyler.
He was great all game long, too. And again, unheralded, because Calvin Whiting and Tyler Fisher don't score a ton of tries. But because of how physical they are in breaking tackles, in shutting down defenses, and you have to account for guys like that, that's why the space is open for Mika Cruze, Mikey Teo, James Vaifale, Joe Mano, Josh Whippy, and anybody else who happens to be playing outside of them. Full credit to Tyler and Calvin for playing incredibly well together in the centers this year.
Couple of comments here. Jay Larson on Facebook. 16th man, that place was rocking. It really was. We've seen incredible crowds this year as Dub Nation and the Utah Warriors fan base grows. It's been awesome. Linda Webben Stay hydrated, Ashley Burge. Yes, amen to that. She did a great job of doing that. Michael Omoro, who came and said hi to us before the match, which was great. A lot of positives take from these nail biter performances. Not to sound negative, but if some defensive issues could be addressed, we should look at this team as a title contender. It's an interesting point because the offense is not the issue. Certainly defensively, there are some things to shore up, but luckily there's a couple of weeks to do so. The only tough part is Utah's going to play 3 of the top 4 teams in the league in the final 4 weeks.
Full credit, by the way, to Jay Larson for coming up with this, the final comment here that I would like to highlight. Death, taxes, and Calvin's left foot. The only things you can be guaranteed of in this life, okay? It used to be just death and taxes. Now you can add Calvin Whiting's boot to that list.
Yes, and something we should mention too, and we're going to talk to him coming up. Fraser Hurst came off the bench and kept the speed going, kind of getting 21 unanswered required something different. It wasn't necessarily working enough. And Fraser Hurst comes in, and the ball speed out of the rucks was very fast, and it tired San Diego out.
It was fantastic, and he's been great. I think, full credit to Sean and Sean for getting both Michael Baska and Fraser Hurst up to speed. Both of the Warriors 9s now getting that call up for their respective national teams. And that's a really, really, really significant call for what Sean Davies has done with both of these players. And we don't lose anything on attack with either of those guys at the helm, and that goes for Cliven Lobster coming in as well for Hagen. There's all of these different weapons that the Warriors have at their disposal, and the cohesiveness of this team is really what won this game. This is a team win. There was some banter before the game from the former head coach of the San Diego Legion, talking a lot of crap about these Utah Warriors, saying, which of these Warriors would make a San Diego Legion squad? And it doesn't matter because San Diego is a team made up of players. They're really good players, but they're just a bunch of players who play the game of rugby together. The Utah Warriors are a team. This is a core unit with a chemistry and a feel and a passion and a fire for each other, and they believe in one another and what they're doing, and that was the difference in this game.
So a big-time win, 45-41 for the Utah Warriors over the San Diego Legion. We'll preview the Rooney game coming up later in the program.
Junior Warriors, there's still a chance. If you want to get in on the Junior Warriors Clinic, sign up. There's, I believe, 2 left. It's just $25. They happen 2 hours before each home game. Go to warriorsrugby.com and get your little Warriors signed up to learn more about the game or just a chance to interact and throw the ball around with Warriors coaches, staff, players, and more.
Okay, let's fly through some scores from Week 13 in Major League Rugby. NOLA won at DC 25-21 despite 3 yellow cards.
Always tough when you've got that many guys in the bin. I mean, you're talking about playing 2/3 of the game a man down. It's an incredible performance from NOLA.
Threaten Palamo, former Ute star, scored in that one for DC. NOLA hits the road for the final 5 now. Okay, Austin 47, Toronto 21. Most points the Arrows have ever allowed, and the first 3-game losing streak for the Arrows.
It's been tough again for Toronto all year. I just think the rigors of this season are finally starting to catch up to that team. They have 8 players being called for Canada first team duties from that Toronto squad as well. So things don't get any easier for them going down the stretch.
Big one in the East. It was 1v2, and guess what? 2 beat 1. Rooney, Rugby United New York beat Rugby ATL 31-24. Atlanta's 6-game winning streak is over. Andy Ellis, the scrum half for Rooney, was injured in the 27th minute with an ankle injury.
That was a great game to watch. It was back and forth rugby from both teams. You could tell they both wanted it, and I know the playoffs haven't started yet, but we're playing playoff level rugby emotionally right now all across Major League Rugby.
Okay, New England 25, Seattle 21. Late Free Jacks try with 5 minutes left won it. Bailey Wilson's brother Mitch scored a try for the Free Jacks.
Props to Mitch and getting it done as his brother continues to lead this Utah Warriors team. That was a great match, and I know people keep downing what Seattle's doing, but this is a very different team than what we saw through the first 8 games. The additions that they have in that team and that are playing into their system have been great. So it's not a bottom of the table game when you play the Seattle Seawolves. They're starting to play with some real fire and with some real ability. So full credit to New England for going and getting it done.
And then a lopsided one, LA 52, Houston 5. This is a new Major League Rugby record margin of victory.
It's a pretty huge gap, and LA came out all Pistons firing, man. They literally scored from just about everywhere. The attack looked ferocious, and at points, they just looked like they were having fun throwing the ball around on the schoolyard as well. I mean, when it's working for you, it's working for you, and it's working in LA right now.
Okay, that wraps up scores from last week, and I'm stoked about this. You're going to suit up for an old boys game coming up July 10th? Is that what I
hear? Those are the rumors. It's the curtain raiser for our game on the 10th of July. There's an old boys game going on before the game, and you might see your mans out there with my boots on, getting a little scrappy and having some fun, throwing the ball around.
Love it. Just don't get hurt. You got to do the broadcast with me. Okay.
Well, as long as I don't hurt my mouth, I'm fine. I can limp into the broadcast booth.
That's true. You just have a black eye. That'll be great. Okay, standings. LA 46 points, Utah 11. LA has a game in hand on Utah there, so certainly looking like it'll be the 1 seed. Utah still in second place, which is great. The AGs, Austin still on their tails right there. San Diego 10 points behind with 4 games to go. It's going to be hard to catch up, but maybe they do. Seattle and Houston certainly out of it, but it looks like it's a 3-horse race in the last 4 weeks here.
It's going to be tough. The Warriors obviously have the toughest schedule, and if we make it through to the playoffs, we could end up having to go through LA 3 different times this season to fight for a Major League Rugby title. So Austin Gilgrone's not going away. The strength of the schedule favors Austin a little bit. Really tough for the Utah Warriors with the level of competition in these last few games, but I'm excited to see the way this shakes out because all 3 of those teams are playing really good rugby right now.
And then Rugby ATL with 2 bonus points stayed ahead of Rooney instead of tying at 39 points. So Rugby ATL in first, Rooney at 39. New England and NOLA still lurking at 34. So a big game in the Eastern Conference this week for Rooney, and then in a couple weeks for Rugby ATL coming to Harriman.
A lot of key matchups, and I think it might come down to bonus points in this one. And the Utah Warriors, the only team I think in Major League Rugby with double-digit bonus points. We've been able to take 13 bonus points away from our matches. So even in the losses, still scoring points are these Utah Warriors, and it's going to make a difference. Those have added up. I mean, think about that. That's 2+ wins with a bonus point for the Utah Warriors just in what they've been able to do in points tallies.
Yeah, 13 is the most in the league. San Diego has 11, LA 10, and then nobody else with double digits. So there you go. Okay, join us July 10th for the penultimate home game. We'll have the Rugby ATL, the Rattlers in town, and then LA Guillotines the next week. But July 10th is going to be a massive game in the next home game.
It's going to mean everything again to these Utah Warriors. Every game means everything right now. They have to win to stay in control of their destiny. And I like that we're playing the toughest competition in the league because the Warriors always seem to play up in those situations. We've struggled against some of the lesser competition in maintaining our own game plan. So I like that you want to beat the best at the best. Wasn't it Ric Flair that said, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Woo! That's what you want out of your people. And, the Utah Warriors are playing up right now. And we've been holding a grudge since that preseason loss when Jeremy Misa-Ilegalu and his boys came in. So, I think that one's been circled on the calendar for a long time for these guys.
Oh, for sure. Okay, news and notes around the league. Major League Rugby draft is August 19th. This was a lot of fun last year. It's coming up on August 19th. Also, the United States is bidding to host the Rugby World Cup, men's in 29, 27 or 31, and then the women in 29. So hoping to get a men and a women's World Cup here, which would be awesome. That'd be incredible.
Either or would be incredible to have that level of elite rugby played here. Of course, the men's Rugby World Cup is the, I believe, second most watched sporting event in the world behind only the Soccer World Cup. And the Summer Olympics, I think, just pipped it the last time they watched. But when you talk about the global magnitude of what it would mean to showcase that game in a country where it's still a secondary sport would be huge. And there's guys who have played and fallen in love with the game of rugby that are fully behind this. Think Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and Shark Tank. You know him from a lot of different things. He's throwing all of his weight behind it to try and get support for businesses. He played rugby in college and is as excited as anybody is about the possibility of a Rugby World Cup, men's or women's, being hosted here in the United States.
That'd be awesome. And 2 start times have been adjusted for the final 2 home games of the regular season. July 10th against Rugby ATL, that's now at 8 o'clock instead of 7. And then July 17th, that is moved to 6 o'clock for TV. So 8 o'clock July 10th, 6 o'clock on July 7th. Hope to see you out at Zions Bank Stadium. Okay, we've mentioned the pro days. These have continued to happen around the country, and some really successful ones. The one in Salt Lake happened recently. And now we have one in St. Charles, Missouri coming up.
The Pro Day at Lindenwood College, June 25th in St. Charles, Missouri. This is open to anyone over the age of 18. So if you're a club player and you've maybe missed your college window, but you're still playing top-level rugby, there's a great history of rugby in the Missouri area with the Blues and the Bombers and so many other great teams in that Midwest. It's a hub of rugby activity. It'll be great to see what kind of players and the quality of players that come out from that combine. If you want to get more, go to warriorsrugby.com/pro day registration.
Okay, games this week, round 14. Utah at Rooney is the first game of the week. It's an earlier game coming up this week at 12:30 Mountain. That's CBS Sports Network. We'll have it on ESPN 700 and 960 as well. NOLA at Toronto, Houston at Rugby ATL, LA Guiltinis at San Diego. That's a really fun one. And then Austin at Seattle. What sticks out?
The matchup between San Diego and LA intrigues me because now San Diego gets the chance to play spoiler with their control of their playoff spot essentially out of their hands. All they have to do is win for a hope of making it, but they can now play spoiler to anybody else's plans. We've seen Rugby ATL beat LA. We've seen Rooney beat LA. I think San Diego has the physicality and the manpower to be able to take down that Guiltinis team. The way they played against Utah, if they can replicate that and close out those final 20 minutes, which they weren't able to do against the Warriors, we could be looking at a close one in that San Diego versus LA match.
Yeah, that's the one that sticks out for me too. That should be fun. And let's see if Seattle can make it interesting with Austin. If Seattle were able to win this and Utah wins against Rooney, it would be a 10-point advantage potentially for Utah going into the final 3 weeks of the season, and you'd feel pretty good about that with Houston on the schedule, although that was a tough one in Harriman. So we'll see. Okay, renew your season tickets. You can do it now.
Get the best seats in the house. You get first pick with your season tickets. All it is a $50 deposit. You get to pick where you want to sit and get loud with Dub Nation. That 16th man is so crucial, and the boys have said it over and over and over again. We have the best fans in the league. They feel your energy, they feel your presence, and they love playing in front of Dub Nation at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman. So become a season ticket holder and all the perks that go along with it. Renew now at warriorsrugby.com.
Just a $50 deposit. That's all it takes. Let's go. Okay, let's bring in tonight's guest. He was just named to the Canadian national team that's going to play a couple of test matches in England against Wales and England in July. He is the scrum half, Fraser Hurst, on the program. Fraser, welcome back to Dub Nation, man. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's awesome. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're not doing as well as you. You come into the game, all of a sudden the comeback happens, you call up to the national team. What's life like for you this week?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I didn't really have it on my in my mind to be making a national squad, but I guess, with how I've been playing, I guess just that's how it's gone down. There's a lot of talent in the scrum half position in Canada these days, so it's quite competitive, but I'm excited to see myself on that list and excited for the competition ahead.
So playing alongside Michael Baska, under the tutelage of Sean Davies, and coming into this match now, the Warriors lost nothing on attack when you came into the game, and it's such a great thing to see with our reserves, the quality and the depth of this Warriors side. What was the conversation on that substitution like as you came in and took over leading this team down the field? DC, Danny Christensen, the guy who kind of runs the comms and the water for the boys, kind of gets the chat from the coaches up top, and he just said to me, "Hey, look, Davey says keep the tempo up, push your pace, do the small things correctly, and we'll be good to go."
it's I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty high pressure situation coming into those games. But I just tell myself keep my cool and just keep up the pace. Don't be late to that breakdown and just get the ball moving and let the boys do their work.
Okay, but with 18 minutes to go, you're down 17. So how do you stay calm in this moment knowing, oh my gosh, we've really got to execute here in the final 18 minutes to have a shot to win this? And you guys do. It was a miracle comeback.
Yeah, it's crazy how we keep doing that, calling us the comeback kings. But to be honest, when I come on, I'm not even thinking about the scoreboard. I'm just thinking about doing my job, and we just take things one step at a time, one phase at a time, and we just end up scoring tries, come back, kick off, and do the same thing again. We're just fortunate with the kind of personnel we have on our team that we have some guys that have some unbelievable X factor that they can just kind of pull out of their socks at any minute, any time, and it just works for us.
Talk about the lead up to scoring that try, because you ran the forwards for, I don't know what it was, 12, 13, 14 phases in a row. They just pick and jammed really, really hard at that line. And then you can see it for 2 phases. Cliven puts his hands up, and I can tell he's in your ear. What did you see between him and Mikey Teo in the lead up to that just worked and you knew you had to get it out rather than trying to force it with the forwards?
With no time left on the clock, and I kind of just said to the boards, I said, look, this is your last shot. Let's give it everything we got. Keep grinding. I'm gassed just getting to the breakdown, moving the ball. So I can't imagine those big boys having to pump get those little meters. But then, we weren't really doing anything. Great effort to San Diego to hold us out, hold those boys out. Because, last week in Seattle, we see Ollie Khalifi score the game-winning try in those last couple minutes. But kind of getting it out to the back is the last thing. Like, to your point, Cliven was in my ear, and I said, you know what, no, we're going to keep it in here one more phase. And then sure enough, we got out, and boom, Mikey Teo just throws that unbelievable pass over the top, and James scores that in the corner. He was close to stepping out. I was watching him. I was like, oh, my God. I was like, if you step out.
I said that in the moment, too. I said, he still has to dot this down. And I'm thinking, where is he going? In that moment, you're not thinking just dot it, just ground it. But he ends up kind of turning left. I saw some pictures down there. He actually wasn't as close to the line as it looked on video. He was probably, 6 inches off. But still, it makes you nervous, right? Okay, so the last 3 games, Fraser, just pounding Austin in a massive game. The buildup was playoff-like, right?
Right.
Seattle. Of course, Seattle won in Harriman, and this is the team that's given, Utah fits. That drama. And then this drama. What is it? 8 of the 11, 9 of the 12 have been decided by one score. What's that like every week, knowing it's going to be a tough game and it's probably going down to the wire?
Obviously that's not our plan to win the game in the last 2 minutes or 1 minute or even an extra time. With Austin, I think that was probably one of the best games we've had all season long. We came out hard. We kind of put our staple on the team right away, on the game right away, and we were dominating them. But it definitely builds us confidence for our guerrilla squad, our boys coming off the bench, that we can come into high pressure situations down 17 points and still come back and get the win. That's massive. To be able to do that and moving forward onto the season to hopefully be able to go into the playoffs if we are in a situation like that. That'll give our team great confidence, knowing full well that we can pull a win out in the last 2 minutes of the game. Not to mention other teams probably around the league know that very well, so they know they have to play right to the last play of the game. So, it's good.
So talk about playing quality competition. Now we look ahead to Rooney in a big game with a very physical squad that can match what our forwards can do. I think we have more mobility and more lethality in our back line than Rooney does. But as you're looking to direct this team and you get involved, what are you looking forward to in this matchup? What's the vibe been like as you guys plan for New York?
Obviously coming off those big wins, we're sitting pretty confident right now, and we're feeling pretty good. The team camaraderie is good. We just look to get better each and every week, as we have to get better each and every week, because the competition continues to get better, and obviously the score lines of the games matter more and more. To your point, we know Rooney's a very physical team, and we can match them up front there. But for us, I think going to that game with the long travel, we're going to look to just kind of dominate territory, most importantly, and dominate possession, and just look to play down on their end and see how we go. But yeah, I know our backs are definitely excited to have a go against theirs, because I know that's definitely a strong point for us right now.
Okay, let's finish with this. The Josefa jerseys. Ooh, they look sweet, man. What do you think?
I'm dying to play in those jerseys, but I think I don't know when we're playing them. I think it might be against the Atlanta game, which I think
You'll be gone.
Will be gone, unfortunately. Yeah. So I mean, I might have to talk to Billy or someone and see if we can get to play in those jerseys one more time. They are sweet.
Just carry them into July 17th against LA, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So last thing as we look towards this, I mean, playing England and I think Wales is your guys' other game is what you face going on international duty with Canada. Mm-hmm. Playing England in England, how big a moment do you think that will be as you run out for Canada?
That'll be honestly kind of the icing on the cake for me for the top of the year. I think I was thinking when I got the call up, the last time I was in the UK, visiting those two stadiums, Millennium Stadium and Twickenham Stadium, I was in grade 10 on my high school junior rugby tour. So to be able to go back there now and to be able to be playing in those stadiums is honestly surreal for me. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Hopefully my hard work will get noticed for the selection process for those games. And yeah, if I'm running out those tunnels, I'm going to give them my all. I'll tell you that.
There is no bigger event than England at Twickenham, bro. So all the best. We hate to see you go because you guys are playing in such great form for the Warriors, but we'd love to see our boys put on the colors of their country, and it's a moment of pride for all of us, and you represent all of us in Dub Nation, brother. Good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks. That's Fraser Hurst, scrum half, Canadian international. Just straight baller, dude. I really love the skill he's brought to this team, the pace, obviously. Also, his attitude. Like, he's young, but he's super confident. Comes in. Michael Baskett's like a tier 1 guy. Fraser Hurst is like a tier 1 guy that's getting more of an opportunity. It's pretty exciting.
It speaks to the chemistry of this team. And again, it's a team mentality. I got to be in the locker room after the match against San Diego when Coach Pittman came in and gathered the boys all around, and just the emotion, the power, the I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but there was something in that room that was palatable. You could tell it meant something to them, and they were galvanized in that moment. These guys believe in each other and what they're doing, and it was a great moment to be able to see.
Okay, winning moments of the show. Let's preview the matchup with Rugby United New York or Rooney, Saturday, 12:30 Mountain Time on the KSL TV app. CBS Sports Network. This got upgraded. ESPN 700, 960 at Rugby United New York. So it's a national game. We will have the game on ESPN 700, 960 as well. This is a big matchup. The number 2 team in each conference coming down the stretch, battling for a playoff spot. Fraser talked about the physicality, the desire to dominate territory and possession, and that he feels like the backs of the Warriors are where Utah has an advantage.
It's going to be an interesting matchup because obviously with the depth that they have in the forward pack in New York should be pretty incredible. I've played with a couple of guys on their team before, and there's some real quality in there from some names you might not know. Obviously with guys like Savetta in the lineup from the national team, you're going to know the Capped Eagles and some of those other guys, but they've put together an impressive squad, and they're always a contender in New York. There are no easy games on the East Coast.
Yeah, Ben Foden, a fullback, English international. Kyle Sumption, BYU guy who's out there. He's actually the U23 coach for the U.S., which is pretty cool. And Dylan Fawcett and Chris Matina. And we'll see if Andy Ellis plays. Former All Black scrum half. He's legit, but he got hurt against Rooney. So we'll see who plays in this one. But we'll have the radio call. Again, it'll be on CBS Sports Network Saturday, early, 12:30 Mountain Time on Juneteenth. Coming up this Saturday. Should be a good one. Okay, let's finish the show with this. Rugby 101, grounding rules. James Maifale almost goes out of the back of the try zone. So it made me think, hey, we need to talk about the rules of grounding the ball.
So in rugby, originally when William Webb Ellis designed the game, in order to score points, you had to ground the ball beyond the score line to be able to try for a kick at points. So the only time you scored actually was on what we now call the conversion. That's why it's called a try in rugby when you score it past the goal line. You have to.
Honestly, I had no idea until this moment. That's why I would call that.
It's also why a touchdown in American football is called a touchdown, because you have to touch the ball down in the try zone to be able to score the points. Now, in the modern game, once you cross that try line and you dot the game down, there's your 5 points. And then the conversion is taken at any distance from the try line where the try is scored. So when you see Vaifale go in and he turns that corner, really what he's trying to do is give his kicker better position on the conversion. What he should have done was score it immediately after crossing the try line and not giving everyone else a heart attack as he danced along the end line.
He was running to Billy. We actually know the answer. It wasn't for a conversion. He was running to Billy Rathule.
That's why it's called a try. That's why in American football we call it a touchdown. And that's why you have to ground the ball over the try line in order to score points in modern rugby.
Your best rugby 101 of the season, and that's a fact. Okay, we're giving away a red and black windbreaker. Just a reminder, share the show on Facebook or retweet, post the game on Twitter, and you'll get perhaps a chance at this Warriors windbreaker. Okay, that'll do it for us. Big one Saturday, 12:30 Mountain Time. The number 2 teams in each conference, Rooney against the Utah Warriors. We'll have the call on the radio, ESPN 700, 960, and nationally the game will be on CBS Sports Network. Like and share this episode of Dub Nation. Follow the Utah Warriors on social media throughout the season on KSL Sports and ESPN 700. For Fraser Hurst, Billy the producer, Mike Gieselman, who actually helps us with the graphics, who has been awesome off the bench, and Banksy, I'm Jarom Jordan. Go Warriors.